This is part 3 of set 4 of our Values Ed Majorship Enhancement Drills. And yep, our goal is of course to top the board exam. Let's continue. Number 41. A student who is afraid of her teacher as an authority figure and follows the commands of her teacher all the time because of fear of being reprimanded is in what stage of Kohlberg's moral development? Letter A, punishment obedience of moral development. B, social contract legalistic stage. Letter C, law and order orientation. And letter D, universal ethical stage. What's your answer, teacher? Well, obviously, it's letter A, punishment obedience of moral development. Takot siya sa teacher. Kaya siya sumusunod. So number 41 is letter A. A student who obeys the teacher out of fear of being reprimanded, takot mapagalitan, no? Reflects the punishment obedience stage. So in this stage, individuals follow rules to avoid punishment, not because they believe the rules are inherently right. For example, a student might stay quiet during class only because the teacher might scold them, not because they value classroom order. Yung option B, this stage involves reasoning based on social contracts and agreements, which requires understanding broader social principles. Too advanced for somebody or someone acting only out of fear. So this is advanced. So it's incorrect. So yung option C, law and order orientation. This stage emphasizes duty and obeying laws for societal order rather than personal fear of punishment. So mali din siya. And letter D is also incorrect because universal ethical involves abstract principles like justice and human rights, which are far more advanced than fear-based behavior. So number 41 is letter A. Number 42. Which of the following does not reflect the andragogical approach in teaching values education? Letter A, reciprocity in teaching learning. B, experiential method of teaching. C, forming community of learners. And letter D, making use of learning for tomorrow's needs. And which one does not reflect? So your answer should be letter D, making use of learning for tomorrow's needs. Kasi ang andragogy focuses on applying learning directly to real-life, immediate situations rather than hypothetical future scenarios. So yung A, B, and C, they reflect adult learning principles, yung reciprocity, experiential learning, and building a community, which align with andragogical practices. So 42 is letter D. Number 43. Which phase of the PNU ACES is significantly important in presenting and directing learners towards the values that must be emulated? Letter A, learning trigger phase. B, value clarification phase. Letter C, directive integration phase. And letter D, action phase. So number 43, your answer should be letter C, directive integration phase. So this phase explicitly guides students toward desirable values, and then the teacher links learning experiences to real-life applications. Yung option A, learning trigger phase, this phase initiates curiosity but it doesn't focus on guiding values. Yung letter B, value clarification phase, explores personal values rather than emphasizing emulation. And yung letter D, action phase, involves applying values but only after they are already understood. So paano ma-apply kung di pa na intindihan? So 43 is letter C. Number 44. The following strategies illustrate the application of values inculcation as an approach in the teaching of values, except letter A, role-playing, B, modeling, C, reinforcement techniques, and letter D, case study. Your answer should be letter D, case study. Case study focuses on analysis and discussion rather than directly teaching or reinforcing values. So, which is the goal of values inculcation. So, yung letter A, role-playing actively teaches values by allowing students to practice them. Yung letter B naman, modeling, demonstrates values for students to emulate, para gayahin. And yung letter D, letter C, reinforcement techniques, they strengthen values through positive or negative feedback. So, number 44 is letter D. Number 45, if a teacher wants the class to solve a problem with two equally important alternatives, what could be the best teaching strategy that can be applied in the problem situation? Letter A, role-playing. B, manipulating alternatives. Letter C, brainstorming. And letter D, moral dilemma. Keywords again. Two equally important alternatives. Number 45, your answer should be letter D. Moral dilemmas present conflicting choices and encourage reasoning about ethical alternatives. This is ideal for exploring two equally important alternatives. Yung letter A, role-playing, focuses on acting out scenarios, not ethical reasoning. Yung letter B, manipulating alternatives, this involves decision-making but lacks the moral exploration of dilemmas. And yung brainstorming naman, it gathers ideas but it doesn't require ethical reasoning necessarily. So 45 is letter D. Number 46. The following are tools for an effective facilitation of values learning except letter A, staying neutral on content. B, asking questions for clarification. C, testing assumptions of students. And letter D, collecting ideas without summarizing the results. So your answer should be letter D, collecting ideas without summarizing the results. So number 46 is letter D, collecting ideas without summarizing the results. So facilitation requires synthesis and clarity, which summarization provides. So yung A, B, and C, staying neutral, asking for clarification, and testing assumptions are essential to effective facilitation. So number 46 is letter D. Number 47, action learning approach is similar to value analysis approach because action learning also, letter A, makes use of the person's abilities. B, stresses group action. Letter C, analyzes social issues. And letter D, tempers self-actualization process with group and social pressures. So your answer should be number 47, letter C, analyzes social issues. So both approaches involve examining societal problems to find ethical solutions. So yung A, B, and D, these features don't distinguish action learning from value analysis. 47C. Number 48. Which of the following approaches to the integration of values requires the teacher to add more or to add an activity on the part of the lesson where a particular values is infused? Letter A, eclectic integration. B, natural integration. C, unnatural integration. And letter D, horizontal integration. So number 48, your answer should be unnatural integration. So here, the teacher is asked to add an activity to the lesson plan that a particular value is touched. Yung option A, eclectic integration, uses two or more schemes in integrating value concepts in the curricular offerings, identifying those approaches that would bring fruitful results. Yung option C naman, natural integration, option B, natural integration, utilizes the subject matter or activity undertaken to emphasize concepts or values that the teacher wishes to bring about. And yung last option, letter D, horizontal integration. Integration is only done in one specific grade or year level. So, may iba-iba kong klase tayo na integration. Meron pa tayong total horizontal integration which is done in all subjects, courses in the selected grade or year level. Yung horizontal integration only to selected subjects or courses in the grade or year level, singled out for such purpose of integration. So we also have vertical integration. Yung tinatawag na vertical integration approach, yung value concepts are integrated from the lowest to the highest level of education. So meron tayong total vertical and partial vertical. Pag sinabing total vertical, yung values ay integrated in all subjects in all levels of education. Pag sinabing partial vertical, integration in some selected subjects or courses in all levels of education. So you can check that out dun sa lecture natin sa I think sa legal basis of values education sa last part nun. Or no, dun sa approaches in teaching values education. Approaches and strategies. Andun yung integration. Alright. So number 48 is letter C. Number 49. If a teacher wants to get the affirmative decision of the students on a certain value issue, which strategy could best be applied? Letter A, rank order. B, using value judgment questions. Letter C, values voting. And letter D, I learned statement. So your answer here should be letter C, values voting. Yung values voting directly gathers affirmative decisions on values issues. So yung A, B, and D, these strategies reflect reflection, not decision making. So 49 is letter C. 50. The following are essential elements of the valuing process except letter A focuses on learners' own experiences. B allows more on group introspection and reflection. C encourages the learner to share his or her innermost thoughts and feelings. And letter D understands the person without judging. So your answer should be allows more on group introspection and reflection, because valuing focuses on individual introspection and judgment rather than group dynamics. So yung A, C, and D, they align with valuing focus on personal experience, sharing, and understanding without judgment. So 50 is B. 51. Which of these statements show the distinction of the cognitive and affective measures of learning? A. Affective measures have no correct answers unlike cognitive measures. B. Cognitive measures draw inferences from the consistency and desirability of responses unlike affective measures. C. Affective measures are scored based on the correctness of responses unlike cognitive measures. And letter D. Affective measures have reliability and validity problems unlike cognitive measures. So number 51, the answer here is, it should be letter A. Affective measures have no correct answers unlike cognitive measures. Pag sinabing cognitive measures, they are not affective measures. They have correct answer keys. Cognitive kasi, objective test, for example, may correct answer keys. So such cognitive measures do not depend on the desirability of the responses but on the correctness of responses. So ibig sabihin, this makes options B and C wrong. Reliability and validity challenges can exist in both cognitive and affective assessments, not just affective, making option D incorrect. So the correct answer is A. The subjective nature of affective measures does not allow for correct answer keys. So mahirap talagang i-checkan ang affective assessments kasi wala siyang correct answer. Walang answer key, unlike the cognitive measures. Kasi this is very subjective. So, kung tama sa'yo, pwedeng mali sa iba. So, please take note that affective measures focus on attitudes, values, and feelings which are subjective and cannot be scored as correct or wrong, correct or incorrect. So for instance, asking a student how they feel about honesty involves personal reflection rather than factual correctness. So cognitive measures, on the other hand, assess factual knowledge with definitive answers or objective answers, like solving math problems. So in that case, number 51 is letter A. Number 52, which of these methods provide the least information about the student's learning? A. Scales. B. Checklists. C. Situational tests. And letter D. Projective tests. So your answer, teacher, here should be letter B. Checklists. So checklists only provide information about the presence or absence and or frequency of manifestation of behaviors. So more than this, scales indicate the extent of possession of the behaviors in question. So situational tests naman indicate how the behaviors are manifested. And projective tests provide the greatest amount of information because they can reflect even those below the level of conscious awareness. So like unconscious attitudes and motives, so making them highly informative. So the answer here, number 52, is letter B, checklists. Number 53. Mr. Di Torre is worried because many of his students express their preference for live-in over marriage. Which of the following would best give Mr. Di Torre the students' reason for their preferences? Letter A, observation. B, scales. C, ranking. And letter D, interview. Your answer here should be it should be letter D, interview. The reason for the students' preferences would not be reflected in their behavior, so observation is not the appropriate method. Yung scales would simply reflect favorableness or unfavorableness of behaviors and ideas but would not give him the exact information that he seeks. So, hindi niya matutukoy kung bakit ganun ang sagot ng mga estudyante. So, ganun din yung ranking. It reflects students' preferences but not the reasons for them. So, the best method to get the exact information from the students is to ask them questions about their preferences. So, bakit ganun yung kanilang choice or preference, live over marriage. So, interview allows direct interaction and clarification of their ideas or thoughts. Mr. Di Torre can ask follow-up questions such as, why do you prefer live-in relationships over marriage? And then he can gather more detailed reasons. So number 53 is letter D, interview. Number 54, which of the following activities would rank highest on Krathwohl's taxonomy? Letter A, learning the regulations of the school. B, condemning the wrong decisions of politicians. C, living in the Philippines instead of in other countries. And letter D, changing one's opinion of another person because of a prior experience. So your answer here should be letter D. Changing one's opinion indicates characterization by value. That's the highest, the characterization. The highest level of Krathwohl's taxonomy, where values are consistently integrated into behavior. For example, a student who previously disliked group work but now values teamwork due to a positive experience has internalized the change. Yung option A, learning regulations, it reflects lower level of cognitive learning. Yung letter B, condemning decisions, it represents responding or valuing. Yung letter C, living in the Philippines, it shows organization, a kind of middle level stage. So number 54 is letter D. Number 55, Mrs. Season wants to determine if her students excuse me, are applying the things that they learned in the previous lessons. What is the best way to do this? Letter A, interview all the students. B, observe each student in the class. Letter C, give the students a situation test. And letter D, ask students to rate themselves using a scale. And your answer here is letter C. Give the students a situational test. Yung mga situational tests, they simulate real-life scenarios requiring students to apply learned values. So, sa mga situational tests, ma-apply ng mga estudyante yung natutunan nila na values. Halimbawa, students may be asked how they would handle finding a lost wallet. So, we will test their honesty and integrity in action. And then, yung option A, interviews, it focuses on opinions but may not reveal real-world application. Yung letter B, it's limited to specific context unless carefully structured. Observe each student in the class. Yung option D naman, it depends on subjective perceptions if we will ask students to rate themselves. So, number 55 is letter C. Number 56. Which of the following is not a good behavioral indicator of the value self-discipline? Letter A, obeys rules and regulations. B, respects the rights of others. Letter C, puts things in their proper places. Letter D, speaks softly even when disagreeing with others. And your answer to number 56 should be letter B, respects the rights of others. So, it's not a good behavioral indicator of the value self-discipline because respecting others' rights reflects values like fairness and empathy, but it does not directly measure self-discipline, which involves self-regulation and control like obeying rules, organizing belongings, etc. So yung A, C, and D, they all directly relate to managing personal behavior, which is a hallmark of self-discipline. So number 56 is letter B. Number 57. Miss Evangelista wants to know the student's level of possession or manifestation of the values discussed during the quarter. What test will provide this information? Letter A, observation. B, projective test. C, checklist. And letter D, scale. And your answer here should be letter D, scale. 57 is C. Scales like Likert scale, halimbawa. It measures the intensity or degree of value manifestation. For example, students may rate their agreement with statements like, I practice kindness daily. So, halimbawa, yung 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yung 1 is, yung 5 is agree, strongly agree, 4 is agree, and then yung 3 is middle, like somewhat agree, and number 2 is disagree, and yung 1 is strongly disagree. So, that's the kind of Likert scale. Yung option A, observation, it's limited to visible behaviors. And projective test naman, it focuses on unconscious motives, not direct value measurement. And yung checklist indicates a presence but not the degree of values. So number 57 is letter D. Number 58. Which of the following does a student who is in the valuing level of cleanliness do? Letter A, teaches others how to maintain cleanliness. B, shows satisfaction in cleaning the environment. Letter C, makes cleanliness consistent with his or her other values. And letter D, knows the importance of keeping the surroundings clean. So number 58, your answer should be letter C, makes cleanliness consistent with his or her other values. At the valuing level, if you remember, in the valuing level of Krathwohl's taxonomy, the students align cleanliness with their beliefs and integrates it into their life choices. So for example, they might prefer reusable bags or maybe organic bag to support cleanliness and sustainability. So yung other options like A and B, they reflect lower levels like responding, and letter D indicates the basic awareness, which is receiving. So number 58 is letter C. Number 59. If a student's behavior changes drastically, how should the teacher use anecdotal records? Letter A, record observations and discuss them with the student. B. Ignore the change. Letter C. Use only quizzes to evaluate the student. And letter D. Ask other students for opinions. And your answer here should be letter A. Record observations and discuss them with the students. Observing and discussing will help the students identify issues. So, mas mainam na ma-discuss sa estudyante para matulungan sila na ma-identify at ma-fix yung kanilang issues. Halimbawa, usually active students might withdraw due to personal problems. Halimbawa, bigla na lang naging tahimik o ayaw na makisalamuha. So, maybe there's a personal problem. So, we don't know. So, it's important to record this and then talk to students about this. So, yung letter B, ignore the change, it will just risk missing important clues na maaari natin magamit para makatulong sa estudyante. Yung C and D, these methods lack depth. Kulang ito sa lalim. So, number 59 is letter A. Number 60. Which among the following indicates the highest level of value acquisition? A. Enjoys helping others. B. Shows interest in the subject matter. Letter C. Listens closely to instructions of the teacher. And letter D. Enhances own strengths and abilities. And your answer here should be letter D. Enhances own strengths and abilities. This reflects characterization by value, the highest level, if you remember, where values are internalized and consistently guide self-improvement. For example, a student actively developing their skills because they value excellence, it shows deep integration of values. Yung option A and B reflect lower levels. Yung option C naman, it indicates compliance, which aligns with receiving or responding. So number 60 is letter D. So that's the part 3 of set 4 of values and majorship enhancement drills. Let's move to part 4 in the next video.